Hey everyone, welcome back to Teens for Business podcast. I'm your host, Ivan.
I'm Jack.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Kyron.
I think in last month, Kyron went on vacation but couldn't find anyone to take care of his dog. And I will hand the reins over to Kyron to talk more about that situation.
Yeah, so I think it was winter break. It was we were planning to go to Hawaii, and then everything was hectic at the last moment. So in the beginning our plan was to leave our dog at PetSmart. I think they have like these pet hotels, and kind of on us for not planning ahead. But like the day of, we took a dog there, and then we tried to get him checked in, but there was some miscommunication with our vet where there was an area that needed to be signed to guarantee like his like he didn't have any fleas or like he got all his shots and things like that, and they forgot to sign it somewhere, and because there's no way to reach them that day, they wouldn't be able to take our dog. So we had no choice, but we had to call like family friends and sort that out. It was just super hectic, and we didn't miss our flight. We almost missed our flight, but ended up working out. So I think it's just like overall during the holiday season, it's just like super stressful, like trying to get everything sorted out, especially you have travel plans and you have pets. You have to plan everything ahead of time, and I guess it's just like a learning experience.
Yeah, this kind of situation is actually a recurring theme throughout the holiday seasons and when families go out in the world for their vacations. And in fact, 2 out of 3 American households share their space with at least one pet. And the average pet owning household allocates around 1.1K annually to their pets. So in the US alone, the pet industry has soared to a astounding $99 billion in 2020. And that was in 2020, which is 4 years ago. So I think this industry is growing rapidly, and we can see a lot of different things coming up, like veterinary care, grooming, training, and even pet insurance. So, Americans have been spending a lot, namely $3.9 billion on pet food, $19.2 billion on supplies and medicine, and $29.3 billion on vet care. So, with the annual growth rate of 11.6%, this industry is definitely very quickly growing industry as compared to any other industry within the United States. So, in what ways do you guys see the pet industry influencing or reflecting the societal values and lifestyle choices of many Americans today?
I can start us off. I have a dog myself. So like I during the pandemic, there's this trend called like pandemic puppies, where like obviously we're all quarantined, but we're feeling like lonely, so we need like a pet to like give us a little bit of fun, a little bit of joy every day, just to get us out of that boredom that we had within quarantine. And I think a general thing about like pets is that they can really like help your health and such as like these like de it helps you de-stress when you like, play with them, or you can improve like your heart health, like especially when you're being like active with them, like you have to take them on walks every day outside. And then, well, if you do also have like children or like teenagers, like having like pet interaction with them also can help them develop more like emotional and social skills. So that's definitely a plus about pets. And then like I guess like reflecting societal values. I guess some people may think like the type of pet you can signify like someone's like value or like lifestyle choice. Like for example, I could see more like dog people are more likely to get dogs, maybe because they're a little bit more social, or maybe like a cat person getting a cat because like they're a little bit more introverted. So you can see whatever characteristics of like a certain pet can like certainly reflect like someone's like internal like values and how they feel about something.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think also there's like the thing of like how like pets, like you have to really think about them. Like for example, like with Kaiwen's experience, like if you want to go on vacation, you can't just leave them at your house and be like, yeah, okay, like they're fine. Like you have to like prepare for them. And I actually don't like have any pets. I'm like slightly allergic to fur. Well, I like to convince myself it's slightly, it's actually I'm actually like allergic, but um I think like I don't have any pets for like I've just never like been a pets like family, I guess. And but I think like with a lot of my friends, like their pets are just like very important like parts of like their family life. And also like in society, like dogs and everything, like it's a very like big part of our culture. Like I'm not really sure about like other areas, but like I know like in US and like American culture, like and like I guess Western culture as a whole, like your pets are just very, very important to your family. And I feel like I've seen this debate happening on Instagram comments many times over, but like there'll be like some kind of like comment that's like talking about like the value of a pet versus like the value of a human. I mean, those are always just like kind of interesting to read through, but I think like that kind of shows like who we are as a society. Like some people definitely would think that like yes, pets are just as important as humans, and other people are like no, they're not. So I think like that definitely is like a very big like societal value, and like I'm sure like everyone has like different opinions on what that truly is, but I think like definitely the pet industry and like the whole like caring for your dog or like making sure like your cat is healthy, making sure your dog like actually gets the exercise that they need to, like that's a very big part of our culture. And like there's a really big emphasis on making sure you take care of your pets if you do choose to get one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think like Jack mentioned with like the pandemic where people like started adopting dogs and cats like crazy. And then I heard like, like after gradually people like the shelters started filling up again because people realized they got to go back to work and they can't take care of these animals anymore. I guess it kind of reflects on like the responsibility that you have of taking care of an animal because it's like it's not just like um that they're gonna stay at home all day and you're just like you get to spend time with it. You actually have to like take like do what you need to do, like take them on walks and make sure they get exercise. And basically you have to devote a lot of time to your pet because I think a lot of people, yeah, like Jackie mentioned, there's a lot of people that view pets as more of like family members than like possessions where you're kind of like owning the pet. I think especially because like they're essentially they're essentially like companions. They're like small like I don't know. The way I see it is like my dog's just like kind of another family member. I don't know how like other people like if you don't have a pet, it's kind of harder to see. But yeah, just like caring for them as a family member and making sure they get like everything they need is super important.
Yeah, and yeah, and then these, as Jack and Kaiwa and Jackie have said, like pets have been growing in prominence throughout, especially with the pandemic. Because I remember when I went to the shelter to adopt my cat, I had to line up every day outside the shelter because there's just that many people trying to get their hands on, a dog, a puppy, or a kitten. And yeah, that was definitely a very big trend and boom in the pandemic. And and then also we have seen like the rise in dogs because like people rise in like health because studies have shown like having dogs actually increases like statistically helps boost your heart health. I don't see the same with cats, but definitely with dogs. So I think a lot of people are trying to get dogs in order to get healthier, and I think a lot of couples are actually getting pets if they're unsure about having children. Like the as Jackie and Kaiwan said, like many people would see their pets as family members. So I think if some couples who don't want a child or who are unsure about having a child, they will opt to get a pet first to see how well they do. So adding on to that point, so do you personally relate to the trend of viewing pets as family members? And how do you think, a lot of people actually do think that their pets are family members. How do you think that fact has influenced, the choices regarding pet care and, how much money they spend on pets by pets owners?
I can start off, and I also, as I said before, I have my own dog, Shiba Inu, and I definitely relate to the trend as I treat my pet as definitely a family member. You have to give them the best care, spend time with them, spend an hour like playing with them, taking them on daily like walks. Actually, not daily, like 3 times per day, like daily walks, and give them like nutritious like food to eat that's like very like diverse, and find different toys that he maybe enjoy playing. And I think just that like trend of like people seeing pets as family members has definitely influenced spending habits as they're like stimulating families to spend a lot more just to like ensure that their pet feels like they are part of the family and they get like the best care they can, they get the best experience they can. And obviously, if a pet's gonna do that, they're also gonna give the owner a lot more joy and relieve more stress and contribute to better health.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. Um, I think like also I don't have like a pet. I've never really had like a dog or a cat or anything like that. So my experience or like what I've seen is just like what I've experienced through like friends. So it's kind of like that secondhand thing. But I think like definitely taking care of your pets as like they're another human being is very important. That's just like I guess like a societal value and just like an issue of like how we view animals. And I think like definitely if you're gonna get a pet, like you should be willing and like ready to treat them as like another family member. Because I know like all of my friends who have a dog or all of my friends who have a cat, like that it's just like an extension of their family member. It's not like, oh yeah, they're just my dog, you know, it's like it's my dog. Like whenever I ask my friends about like, oh my, you have a dog, or like, wow, you have a cat, like they're always just so happy to show off pictures, like just meet them. So I think like definitely that's something makes sense as like seeing your pets as family members. And also like that goes back to like the spending aspect of it. Like if it's your family member, like yeah, like $1,000, because like you have to take care of like insurance, healthcare costs, like food, and then also maybe some other expenses too, just making sure like they have like a good, you know, like time with you. Because when you look at like $1,000 for like a human child, like that's not a crazy amount. Especially considering like everything you have to do for a child. So like it makes sense that like people will be willing to spend this much when you look at it like a pet is like another extension of your family. So you're essentially just doing that for your family member. Like it makes sense with all like the different expenses added together.
Yeah, exactly. I think that when you consider like everything that you have to spend on a pet, it's essentially like a smaller version of like a little kid. You have to like buying like good like real good pet food, vet care, that's insurance, that stuff is super expensive. But I mean, if it was like another kid, it would just be like a standard cost of like raising another kid. So I think that like more and more people are viewing pets as like a true member of your family. It's literally an extension of your family because your pet is so like integrated with your lives. I think that that's the justification for putting that much money and love into your pet, because the longer they live, the happier that you'll be.
Yeah, and I think I know for dogs, I know Jack and Jack Kaiwan have dogs. I think like a lot more families have dogs, and having food, planning out food for them, like a lot of pet stores do have these dog foods. And I know I'm not the best person to talk about that, but I personally have a cat, and I think a biggest decision going in having a cat was what type of food you'll give them, because like for cat owners you have wet food and dry food. And wet food is more expensive, but it's more nutritious and cats like them more. And because like wet food, they also have water in them, so cats don't will not like get thirsty and have the health complications of being dehydrated, because cats don't like drinking water. But like, it's also more nutritious, but it's also like 10 times more expensive. So what my family did was have a combination of dry food and wet food. So we'll feed them wet food in the evening, but if he gets hungry in the day, he'll have dry food, which we have an automatic dispenser. But I think a lot of social media too, I've seen dogs eating better than me. Like their owners are literally like cooking up meat for them, and then like it's crazy. Like they have quail legs, veggies, and then cooked meat. And I've even saw a dog owner feed their dog a guinea pig. So so I think like a lot of dog owners, some dog owners would be a little bit more lazy and then like just go with the like just generic dog food. But I think a lot of dog owners, especially on social media, they go all out and they start cooking. They spoil their dog a lot. Like I mean a lot. It's very surprising. And then like I'm thinking like if I ever do have a child, will I ever treat them well enough as this dog owner does to their dog? And so yeah, I think a lot of dog pet owners spoil their pets a lot. Even if it's cat, feeding them like fish or eggs, like these. And I think it's gaining a lot of social media traction. And I see definitely people are willing to splurge because they view their pets as a family member, literally. Um, so I think based on that topic, a lot of pet related services such as like grooming, training, and even with Kaiwen cases like pet hotels. So these pet services are like growing quickly. So how like what trends do you guys think is happening to this industry, and what trends will continue into the future?
I personally don't have experience with this because like for me at least, like we didn't travel much since we got our pet, and when we did travel we usually brought our pet with us. And then sometimes for as of grooming and like training, we do have services to groom our pet, but we self-trained our like pet, and that took quite a while. So we had to train them how to like do certain tasks. We had to potty train them. Those are like very important parts of like pet training. And I do also know that some of my friends in my neighborhood who also own pets, they have sent their pets to training facilities and grooming services. And yeah, and then I think this trend could definitely continue to like shape the industry in like a big way, because obviously we saw an influx of pets into people's households due to the pandemic, and that they needed to feel like together with someone. They needed something to get out of their like boredom. And like so now, since like most people are going back to work, they have to go back to their office. They can't take care of their pet throughout the day. And I think for those who like really don't have the time and don't have the resources to self-train, don't have the resources to groom and like any like insurance things, like I think pet related service will continue to be very important. And as more people get pets, and like we could see more like owners going back to like in-person work. For me, at least, my experience was that my parents worked like from home, so I didn't have that. But as we see that the trend like in the job market, that more people are going to actually go back into like the office for work, I think we will see it like an increase in like the usage of these like pet related training, pet hotel services and grooming services.
Definitely. I think one thing that I've noticed is like there's been like a lot of like viral or like popular online services, like different businesses showing off their, I guess, like services. There's like this one account I saw on TikTok where the guy was like, he's like a groomer, and he's like just like cutting like, I don't know the actual terminology, but he's just like cutting like dogs' hair and everything. And he would like give them like a little like a little bow at the end, or like he like spray, like he like dye the fur like in like some patch, like a little heart or like some kind of shape, things like that. And I think like definitely um obviously like because we treat pets kind of like as a family member and like always just try to give them the best, hopefully. And so I think like these kinds of services, especially the ones where it's like viral on TikTok or like super popular, I think like a lot of owners will be willing to try that out, or like at least just like see what it's about, like see if their dogs like it. And I think this kind of goes back to one of our episodes about like we were talking about online marketing, like TikTok influence, things like that. But I definitely think that like the viral products, like, if there's ever like, I'm not really on dog TikTok or like cat talk, whatever, but like I know like if there's ever some like kind of viral product, the same way there's like viral products for like humans, I'm sure like owners would definitely be jumping on that and see like, oh, like if is like, does this have a health benefit for my dog? Does this like make my cat happier? Things like that. So I definitely think that like this whole like industry really revolves around like owners wanting the best for their pets and making sure like they can give them the best for like their life.
I do think this industry is growing, but I also think that like me personally, we like for our dog, we don't really use a lot of like in terms of grooming train like the only thing we really used was like training to when he was a puppy, kind of getting started with that. But I think grooming we mostly like cut his own hair and like do that stuff ourselves. And then yeah, walking like 1 or 2 times a day, just like I don't think it's that hard unless you're super busy. I think most owners like to walk their own dogs. But yeah, I think these services do have room to grow because especially because as more people own dogs, I think there's gonna be some people that prefer to get the dogs whatever they need in terms of like the best grooming and training services and insurance as well. So yeah, as more people want to adopt dogs, these pet related industries are going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and then yeah, I just want to add on to like I think I don't know if it's because I own a pet, but I think on social media I see a lot of these, grooming services. Like these pets, like they're like all rating the dogs I've had this week, and then there'll be like a husky, and then they'll include clips and just howling at the while they're trying to clean them. And I think I find those clips are very cute and also very funny because huskies are known to not shut up. And so I think that's why a lot of like pet owners, like a lot of these services are getting traction because the pet owners seeing like, oh wait, they're actually doing a very good job, aside from like the funny marketing stuff, like they're doing a very good job grooming the pets. And a lot of like breeds of dogs require grooming because they just grow a lot of fur. And so I don't think that's the case with like the Shiba Inu or the dog Kaiwan has, but like a lot of other dogs, especially the breeds with long hair and the big dogs, they require a lot of grooming and or else they shed all over the place. But for cats, because I do have a cat, and then I think I see a lot of videos on YouTube or TikTok about they're rating like cat toys because like cats I think are like very specific, are very unique individuals because like some cats will like some toys while other cats will not even bat an eye. And so I think a lot of like especially with the rise like TikTok shop and like these Timu stuff, like very cheap things, like people are like, oh wait, I saw this cat toy online, I think my cat would like it, so just buy 10 toys at once, and then the cat only plays with one the entire time. And so I think that's the general thing with cats. And I think that's why people are spending so much money on things like toys or services like grooming or sitting. I think dogs require a little bit more attention than some cats. I know some cats do need a lot of attention, but um and like some cat, like I think a lot of dog owners prefer to send their dogs to doggy daycare when they go work. Seen a lot of clips about like doggy daycare is like seeing like before and after saying good boy or good girl, and then it's always very cute. But for cats, I think cat owners prefer to leave their cats at home or find their cats, another buddy, and that always works out, but also includes spending a lot of money. Um, so I think a lot of these things are gaining traction because of things like TikTok Shop, Temu, Amazon. These online services are allowing us to spend a lot more money on our pets. So what role do you think that technology plays in the evolving landscape of the pet industry? And do you find any technological advancements regarding the pet industry that you find noteworthy?
Okay. So I don't, in my experience, because I like train my like pet ours like as a family like ourselves, and I haven't used like any. I know some like dog sitting websites and dog walking websites are like popping up somewhere, but I haven't really used them. But I do think technology can still play a big role because like I think one way that technology can play a big role is like product design, especially if you want to talk about like what toys that you want to design for like a dog, what toys would give them the most fun and will still be durable enough for them to not break instantly. Like I had struggles with this when I bought my Shiba Inu a ball, and after like literally a week, there was starting to become like a leaky like hole in that ball, and then it just wasn't durable enough. So we stopped buying that because that was not obviously like financially feasible. And I think using technology and like product designing, especially toys and like other like maybe I guess leashes for different pets could also be a thing that could be used for technology in terms of like product design. And I think these products should make life not only like more like fun for the dog and like and for the person that's like playing with those like toys with the dog, but I think it should also make it a little bit more convenient and make just like life easier for the dog because they like to play a lot and all they think about is play, play, play. So I think product design could play a big role. But I think another thing, just like as Ivan mentioned, like we see like the pet industry, like other industries are starting to move like some products online to selling platforms. And I think that could also make it easier for clients to get those like products from the internet and just it just streamlines the process basically.
Yeah, I think so too. I think also like it's I guess like for all technology and like online things, it's a good way to like find new services. Um, Especially like if you're kind of like a new dog owner, like a new cat owner, like pet owner. Like if you don't really know, for example, like what to do with your dog when you go on vacation, like a Google search would just tell you what to do. Or like if you're like trying to find someone to walk your dog for like the next month or so, like or like a sustainable, like an actual consistent dog walker, like that's kind of where you can get all these services. And then also going back to my point about like the trendy like viral services online, so like all the groomings, all like the fun little like, oh, dye your like dog's hair and like a little heart somewhere, or like things like that. I think like that's kind of where technology gets involved. And then I'm sure there's also like a bunch of like cool actual like tech products for like pets. Like I don't know any because I don't have any like pets, but I'm sure there's like cool products like make your dog really happy, or like do something for your dog, things like that. So I think it's definitely an industry that's expanding. Um, with I guess like with any type of innovation, like there's always going to be someone in the field because pets aren't disappearing anytime soon. And I think like that's a pretty consistent trend.
Yeah, definitely. I think technology wise, I think I saw this like ad on Instagram, like they're building like these smart collars for dogs where they kind of just track everything in terms of their activity, kind of like um an Apple Watch that we wear where we can like log like calories burned or just to keep track of our health. I think that collar for our pets is just gonna manage like everything that that's pertaining to their health and as well as like their location. I think one big thing is making sure your dogs don't get lost. I remember one time, like my dog like ran out from the back gate and we didn't we didn't know where he was until somebody like posted on Nextdoor, like they found him and then we were able to get him back. So that was kind of it was like a little scare, but yeah, I think it's big to like have like these smart collars or trackers for these pets as well. And just like different apps are gonna make like dog walking and dog sitting pretty easy. I know stuff like WAG, you can just like log on and then pay like a couple like 20 or so dollars an hour and then you can get somebody to walk your dog. So I think just continuously more and more like technology being put into this area as well.
I'm gonna add on to Kyvan here. Like, I think like that. I think what the like tracking thing could be very important. Like personally, I have an AirTag, and I know that some products are being designed on leashes to incorporate like I guess like keychains where you can put the AirTags on. So I think that's definitely a very like smart innovation that like track where your dog is what especially, and then like the I think I don't know if the AirTag can do this now, but like there's like I know Apple has a thing called like Apple Health, and I think that could definitely be, I guess, incorporated into potentially like an AirTag that may be like tailored towards dogs or just like pets in general. So I think this AirTag thing could potentially be expanded into like the pet industry, but also there's probably going to be some competitors that are also developing the same thing. So it will be interesting to see how this will play out in the future.
Yeah, and just like Jack and and Jackie have said, all these innovation technology are, I think, happening all for dogs and not for cats. And because I think a lot of the problems dogs have is not existing with cats. Like I've seen a lot of dogs get lost, and but like when cats disappear, the cat owners are like, oh, they'll come back in a few days, and and I think like that's why a lot of the technology we see today are with dogs rather than cats. And I think another point is that I keep my cat indoors, so a lot of the problems dog owners face are just simply non-existent because cats are just staying inside the house and not going outside because it's also really bad for an environment. But that's just another topic. But I think for cats, there's a lot of stupid inventions. I think for cat toys, like automatic toys that runs out of batteries in 2 days, because you forget to turn it off. But like I think there's a lot of different unique twists on certain toys, like lasers or the little feather thingy that you wave around and your cats get all excited. So I think there's a lot of really dumb inventions, and I think one of the popular YouTubers called like Drew Gooden, like he bought every single cat toy he saw on Instagram for like 10 days straight, and then all of them just turned out to be scams. and then like scams in one way or other, like like ones that don't even come, or they come as an entirely different product, or like he spent like $30 just for the cat to not be interested. So I think like a lot of these things are like, especially for cats, I don't know about dogs, but a lot of these toys are just trying to get cat owners' attentions with like saying like, oh, automatic ball that rolls on the ground and reacts to your cat, and then your cat just loses interest, so that technology is useless anyways. So I think that's just what I see from technology in the cat industry. But for dogs, I can see a lot of websites like dog sitting and dog walking are definitely booming, and then like a lot of services are growing because of social media, whatnot. um so, as you know, we talk a lot about growth in the pet industry, but do you think there are any ethical considerations or potential downsides that should be addressed by these technology and businesses, and also by pet owners and policymakers?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely ethical concerns, and just like what Ivan has experienced, like so, like or it's the video that he watched, that owner, like he obviously bought a few toys and just for them to be scams. So I think in that case, I haven't had this happen with my dog yet, but sometimes when I do buy him a toy, after just like a few days, he loses interest, and then we have to just pile them up in like a basket for them to not be used for a while. And I do think like in terms of like ethical concerns, like in terms of like pricing, I think they could consider like I think maybe a consideration should be like I guess like maybe there could be like a study done on like a certain type of pet and say like how long do they tend to be interested in a certain type of toy. And I think sellers could like tailor their prices towards like the results of like a study like that, because as we've seen, some toys are overpriced and sometimes they're just like bought just for the pet to lose interest in them after a short period of time or just not take any interest at all. So I could definitely think that this like pricing issue s- could be like very like important for like as of ethical concerns. And another ethical concern I'd like to address is I don't know any like specific examples of this, but if any in general, but I think this is good to like keep in mind is like sometimes you have to I think sometimes when people like tend to like price like certain services or treat like pets a certain way, they sometimes this really feels sad to say, but it feels like it feels like they forget that pets are like part of someone's family and some people's as family. And sometimes when they're like abused or something like that by like another person that may not be like the owner, I think that's a really big concern with like pets. And the last ethical concern I'd like to touch is just like dumping pets in like landfills and stuff like that. That's just I've seen that. I haven't really seen that in the US, but I in when I was in China, I saw a lot of stray cats in like neighborhoods and stuff. I just really felt bad for them. So I think another ethical concern is like I guess if you don't have the time or if you don't like see like how you can like have a pet in the future as you can get busier in your life, like how can you like how can you have the pet like have like a good life where they can still be cared for?
Yeah, I think I don't know if you mentioned this, Jack, but one thing I've seen like a lot that people have been just like protesting about on TikTok is just like the dog farms or like puppy farms where like the breeding is like it just kind of goes crazy. There was like, oh my God, like this is gonna be so cute, or like, oh, like look at how tiny this puppy is, things like that. And I'm not like the most educated on like puppy health or like cat health, things like that, or like genetics for them. But I do know that like if you kind of breed them too much or like just like mix certain types of things together, it's like really really bad for like some like dogs health. And so there's a lot of people who are against like having these puppy farms, and also just like the unethical treatment of the dogs at the farms. I've heard that like they're just abused, and like all they're kind of used for is just like make more puppies and sell them off. So there definitely is like an ethical concern of like, oh, I really want like a cute puppy, but at the same time like that cute puppy might be from like treated really badly, like their parents like were treated horribly, or like they're just not healthy, or like it just shouldn't happen, like the breeding shouldn't happen. It's like that's definitely something that I've seen. And then also like with the rise of like pandemic puppies, there's a lot of people being like, oh, like these dog farms are super unethical, so like make sure you um like try to like if you're gonna buy a puppy, get one from like a very ethical source, or like go adopt a puppy, or like from a shelter, things like that. And like the whole thing of like buying a puppy, like I know some people are also against that. So there's definitely like ethical considerations there of like where do you get your pet from, and making sure like there's no like dark history of wherever you're buying them from.
Yeah, definitely think I think a big thing is yeah, like Jack mentioned, just breeding. There's a lot of like these farms that just like they put these dogs together and then they try to create as many like puppies as possible, and it's just super unhealthy for the parents, and it's just they're just trying to make money. They don't really care about the animals. So yeah, that's why I think a lot of people are saying like adopt. I think that's the first thing you should do. And then yeah, like if you can't find a shelter that has a dog that you want, then like try to find a place where like the breeders are actually like reputable and they're treating the pets well. So I think the main thing is yeah, just I think it's over the pandemic, at least it was the shelters were overflowing. So I think there's a lot of room for like people to if you want a dog to just adopt one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think to touch on Jackie and Kylein's point, like there's a lot of breeds of dogs like pugs or bulldogs or Great Danes that are notorious for health issues due to, excessive inbreeding and like a lot of and I think for cats, I've done a lot of research on cat breeds because when I was trying to get a cat, I really wanted a ragdoll. But down that rabbit hole, I found that like a lot of cat breeds like the Scottish Fold, like because their ears fold, their cartilages are very soft, and then that leads to a lot of health issues when they grow older. So I think like these stuff it's a definite ethical concern. That's why I also apart from the reason I didn't really want to spend like $2,000 up to $5,000 on one cat. So I just went to my local shelter and then adopted the cat there who was the most friendly. That's why I met my cat, and so I think like a lot of these ethical concerns can be solved by going to your local shelter. Like if you cannot are not financially able to, or you don't have enough time to take good care of your pets, then a lot of the shelter programs, especially the one like I know the one near my house, they have programs where you can just drop them off, and then they'll just let it up to adoption to any other person. And I think for cats, another ethical concern is definitely outdoor cats. Because like I know a lot of cats do want to go outdoors, but when they go outdoors, they cause a lot of ecosystem damage, namely killing all the birds. And that has happened. And then so I think a lot of programs are doing is, they're marking cats and then making sure kitty season doesn't happen as much as before. So they mark cats, they trap cats and they do what they need to do and then release them back, and then they just nip the tip off one of the ears to say that they're neutered. And then there's no more kitties on the street anymore, and then they're hopefully all in the house. So there's a lot of ethical concerns, but I think the shelters are doing a good job on trying to limit those downsides of having pets that also go outside. So have you guys observed any cultural or regional variations in pet ownership trends, and how might these differences impact the industry's trajectory?
Yeah, I've certainly noticed some like different like trend, and they can definitely contribute to different like spending patterns. Like we've mostly talked about like dogs and cats. I know like dogs are big in the United States and other Western countries, and cats are big in more of the Eastern countries, and most notably China and Japan. From what I have seen, I've traveled there, I've seen a lot of cats there. Some of them which were strays, but there's also like other like pets that some people have like there's people who have fish. Like I get I'm just based on some of the YouTube videos I've seen like fish is like super popular down in southeast the United States, especially in Florida. And some people sometimes go out to save those like exotic fish from being like lost in like lakes and like even sewers. And like I feel it just shows that they like really care that much. about like certain like fish, and especially some of the rare fish that I've seen down in like that are seen caught in Florida, they sell for a lot of money, and then there has to be like certain foods that they must like get to like cater to those like I guess like exotic fish, and they could definitely like influence a lot of like spending patterns down there, and probably those stores probably stock up on those type of food like a lot. A lot of fish owners usually like to get like tilapia, and those are like some food that they like to feed like the fish. And some other pets that some people have. I know one person in California who has a lot of parrots, and I don't know how they got them, but there's still like a lot of like um products and like pet stores that like cater to like parrots and like other birds that are being sold. And also like some people also like have guinea pigs in my area. So I just there's just like a it's just like what we talked about in pets in this episode is more like dogs and cats, but there's like the pet store has like a variety of different like products that like correspond to all like different types of like pets. And I feel like as in terms of like regional things, like depending on like a certain like climate, there could be different breeds of like a certain pet, or just like different like pet trends in general that could definitely influence like what pets people have in that area, and what are the products being sold to cater to these pets.
Yeah, definitely. To talk about like the US a little bit, I was like looking at this article and it was saying like the north, like northeast kind of area. So like where I am, and then like plus like a little bit higher up. It's a lot more like cat friendly. And then once you get towards like the south, so like the southern part of the US, it's a little bit more dog friendly. And I think that's very interesting because it's not like a um it's a pretty like obvious trend too, because like Massachusetts, for example, had like 1.87 cats for every dog, which is like actually like two, like basically it's like two times as many, which is definitely a very interesting trend. But I also think like where you live in terms of like urban, suburban versus like rural, that's like definitely a very big like difference, because if you're in suburban areas, it's like a lot easier to like have a dog. You can just like walk your dog, you know, like nothing's wrong with it. Just go out in your neighborhood. But if you're kind of like a little bit more urban, it might be more difficult for like dogs, especially like that's what this study is saying. Like some cities just aren't very pet friendly. Because like with the cat, you just kind of just keep them at home. But like if you have a dog, you actually have to like walk them and like do everything like that. So I think it's really interesting looking at like how geography and like where your immediate like location is and like neighborhood is to like see what's more popular. And then also like they say like the South, for example, like Arkansas, like I think Arkansas was like the most dog friendly state. And it was like 1.35 dogs for every one cat, which is interesting because like the most like cat state has like almost two times. So I think like that kind of distribution is always fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just like trends wise, I guess I think more and more people um are trying to own a cat or a dog. I think pets are, for lack of a better word, like they're joining more and more families. Like people want to. There's not only people that have like own like one cat, one pet. I think you can get like a second cat or dog just like to give them a companion as well. And yeah, I guess that overall, just like the pet industry as a whole is just growing. And I think dog walking, I've seen like these dog walkers, they hold like 6 or 7 leashes, and they got these pets, like they got 6 or 7 dogs who's just walking around. And that's a cool business idea too. So I just overall, just the fact the entire industry is growing. I don't think there's like regionally or like culturally, I guess there could be like a gap in where there's more dogs or cats, but I think just overall, it's just the entire industry is growing.
Yeah, just adding on Jackie's point, I think for the rural areas especially, I think like I used to watch a YouTuber who would run like a ranch in his backyard, and then he would have very exotic animals. Like I think he had an emu, he had a possum, he had a lot of exotic chickens, and like I think like a lot of this general trend in social media is to a lot of these people who own exotic pets are blowing up like monkeys, raccoons, or even like sea otters, and then like these are not traditional pets, and they're definitely very cute, but they're not traditional pets. So you need special licenses to own these, kind of have these animals around in your house. And so I think that's kind of the cultural trend, I guess, especially with the rise of internet. People want the internet fame, or already have these pets and want internet fame. So like the easy way is just to own like some sort of exotic pet and a non-traditional pet, and then post it on the internet, and then boom, you have some societal value. And I think, yeah, just like and then like a lot of the people, I guess, who are more financially well off, I guess, there's just a generally trend where they would settle for a very specific dog or cat breed. Like I've done a lot of research on cats, so I don't know a lot about dogs, but a lot of people who have the money, who have the financial means, would own like cats like Siamese, or even like the Bengal, which kind of looks like a leopard, something like that. And then so like a lot of these cat breeds, I know we touched about the ethical part, but like these cats are very sought after and also very expensive. So I think that's kind of the trend. It's like before, maybe a couple hundred years ago, cats were used to like keep the mouses out of the house. But now I don't think these cats will do the same job anymore. I think it's the opposite way around. The rats keep the cats out of the house. And so I think that's the general societal trend I can see. And so thank you guys for tuning in to this episode on the pet industry, and make sure to tune in to the Teens for Business podcast next week.